The lecture hall hummed with the soft glow of holographic displays, each one projecting star maps and historical records from the Great Purge, a war so devastating that it had reshaped the galaxy 3,000 years ago. Bella sat in the back row, her fingers tracing the edges of her datapad as Professor Zenthar, a towering Velkari with luminescent skin, gestured dramatically at the floating images. And so, the professor's voice resonated through the chamber. We conclude that no homeworld survived the scorching. Every cradle of civilization was reduced to ash. The ancestral planets, all of them, were lost. Bella glanced at Kanat, who sat beside her. The young man's dark eyes were fixed on the display, but his jaw was tight. He'd heard this lecture before, as had every student at the Galactic Institute. It was a fundamental truth of their reality. No species had a homeworld anymore. They were all children of colony ships and orbital stations, scattered across the stars. The war machines of the ancients showed no mercy, Professor Zenthar continued. They targeted population centers, atmospheric processors, even the planetary cores themselves. By the time the scorching ended, interstellar travel had regressed by millennia. It took us 3,000 years just to rebuild what we'd lost. Bella raised her hand. The professor's triple-eyed gaze shifted toward her. Yes, Cadet Bella? Professor, the historical records mention one system that wasn't mapped by the ancients. Sol system. What happened to it? A ripple of whispers spread through the class. Kanat turned to look at her, surprise flickering across his face. The professor's skin dimmed slightly, a sign of discomfort among the Velkari. The Sol system, Zenthar said carefully, is classified. What little we know suggests it was too primitive to be of strategic value during the scorching. The ancients likely ignored it. But did it survive? Bella pressed. Cadet, you're veering off topic. The point stands. No advanced civilization survived on their homeworld. Now let us move on to, then what is Earth? The room fell silent. Even the holographic displays seemed to freeze. Professor Zenthar's skin pulsed with deep violet. Anger or fear, Bella couldn't tell which. What did you say? Bella stood, her heart pounding. She'd spent weeks researching this, digging through restricted archives that Kanat had helped her access. The truth had been there all along, buried under layers of bureaucratic denial and institutional amnesia. Earth, she repeated. The third planet of the Sol system. Homeworld of humanity. It survived the scorching. In fact, it was never touched. And humans are still there, billions of them. The lecture hall erupted. Students shouted questions, others laughed nervously. Kanat grabbed Bella's arm. Are you insane? He hissed. You'll get expelled for spreading conspiracy theories. But Bella wasn't done. She activated her datapad and transmitted data to the central display. The hologram shifted, showing images she'd uncovered. A blue-green planet teeming with life. Cities that sprawled across continents. Orbital stations bristling with defensive satellites. This footage is from a survey drone that passed through Sol system 8 months ago, Bella said, her voice cutting through the chaos. Earth is intact, thriving even, and they have no idea we exist out here. Professor Zenthar moved toward her but stopped when the images sharpened. There, unmistakable in the hologram, was Earth, rotating slowly, its oceans gleaming under a yellow sun. How is this possible? Someone whispered. Bella took a breath. Because humans never left. During the scorching, the ancients' war machines were programmed to target advanced civilizations, species with faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, orbital infrastructures. Humanity hadn't developed any of that yet. They were still confined to their own planet, barely reaching their moon. The ancient sensors passed right over them. Kanat stared at the image, his expression shifting from skepticism to wonder. They were too primitive to be noticed? Exactly, Bella said. And by the time the war ended, all records of pre-FTL species had been lost. Humanity became a footnote, a myth, but they kept advancing, slowly, on their own terms. And now, she zoomed in on the image, massive shipyards orbited Earth, constructing vessels with sleek, unfamiliar designs. Defensive grids surrounded the planet like a steel cocoon. Now they're ready, Bella said. They've been preparing for first contact, waiting for the galaxy to notice them again. Professor Zenthar finally spoke, his voice hollow. If this is true, if Earth survived and humanity is still unified on their homeworld, they're the only species in the galaxy that can claim that. The weight of those words settled over the room. Every other civilization had been scattered, fractured, their cultures rebuilt from fragments. But humanity? They had an unbroken chain stretching back millennia. They had their homeworld. Kenneth looked at Bella, awe and fear mingling in his eyes. What does this mean for us? Bella closed her data pad, the image of Earth fading from the display. She met the gaze of every student in the room, then turned to the professor. It means we need to rewrite the history books, she said quietly. Because we're not alone in being survivors. But humans? They're the only ones who never had to rebuild from scratch. They're the only ones who remember everything. And as the lecture hall remained silent, the implications crystallized. Humanity wasn't just another species among many. They were the unbroken thread in a galaxy of shattered tapestries, the sole inheritors of their ancestors' legacy. Professor Zenthar dimmed the lights. Class dismissed, he said softly. We have much to reconsider. As students filed out, murmuring anxiously, Bella remained standing. Kenneth stepped beside her, his hand finding hers. You just changed everything, he said. Bella looked at the darkened display where Earth had been. No, she whispered. I just reminded them what we'd forgotten. Humanity never needed to rebuild. They were always there, waiting. And somewhere, light years away on a blue planet orbiting a yellow star, billions of humans went about their lives, unaware that the galaxy had finally remembered them. End.